Hello, everybody. Today we'll be doing a Devar Torah on Parshas Vayera in relationship to Lot and the perplexing question of why does Lot sacrifice or offer to sacrifice his two daughters to an angry mob in order to save the two angels from this angry mob. That's the question, the perplexing question from years and years, centuries it's been going on. So let's go ahead and let's read what happens over here. First of all, as we read in Parshas Vayera, they came, the two angels, to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting at the gate of Sodom. What was Lot doing sitting at the gate? That's the first question that arises, okay? And Lot saw them. He stood up to meet them, and he bowed with his face to the ground, and he said, "Indeed now, my lords, turn aside, please, to come to your house of your servant, spend the night. Come to my house and wash your feet. Then wake up early and we'll go on the way." And they said, "No, rather we're going to go in the square, in the town square, and spend the night in the city." And he implored them very much. So they turned toward him and came to his house. And Lot made for them a feast. Matzahs, it was Passover. He baked and they ate. And then before they even lay down, what happens? The people of the city come of Sodom, and they surround the tent or the house from young to old. All the people, everyone was there, from one end to the other. And they called to Lot, and they said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so we may know them." What does know them mean? They wanted to sodomize them and have sex with them and rape them. And that was customary. They did that to strangers back then because they wanted no outside strangers to come to Sodom. Now, so then Lot goes out to them to the entrance. And he shuts the door behind him. And he says, "Do not, I beg of you, my brothers, act wickedly. Indeed, now I have two daughters who have never known a man, two young virgin daughters. I shall bring them out them now, and to you, you may do to them as is good in your eyes. But to these men, don't do anything, because for this reason they have come under the shadow of my roof." What's going on here? This is ludicrous, okay? So this angry mob comes to take these two men, and he comes out and he says, "No, don't take these two men who I just happened to meet a few hours ago, who I don't even know, because they're under my roof, and take my two daughters, they're virgin daughters, and you can do whatever you want with them," to an angry mob of hundreds or thousands of people. Okay? Very perplexing question. Now, what happened was, for years and years I was reading this, and I was perplexed. I didn't really have an answer. I've read commentaries such as, well, Lot learned from Abraham how important it is to be good to your guests, and this is why Lot maybe was being so good to his guests by offering his daughters up to this angry mob. I never bought into that. It didn't really make too much sense to me. So finally I kept saying to myself, you know what? It doesn't make sense. It's such a distorted thought process. And then it dawned on me that Lot was distorted. Now, let's understand what's going on here a little further. First of all the information I'm coming up with is my own interpretation of reading the Torah, and as well the the Midrash Rabbah as well. So, from Chazal. So let's go back a little bit earlier and see what's really going on and compare here. So if you go back to last week's chapter or portion in Lech Lecha, okay, what do we find? Well, we find that basically Lot and Abraham were living, basically together. For those who don't know, Lot is Abraham's nephew, the son of his brother. And they were both very successful. And Abraham comes to Lot and says, "Look, there's too much going on. I have too many people and too many cattle. You have too many people and too many cattle." And they were fighting and feuding with each other over space and wells and water and things of this nature. So Abraham says, "Look, I'll tell you what. I'll give you first dibs. You go wherever you want to go, and I'm just going to go the opposite way. You take whatever land you want, you go there, and I'll take whatever land I want, I go there." Now, so what happens? So Lot raises his eyes, and he saw the entire plain of the Jordan, that all of the wells were irrigated before Hashem. This is before Hashem destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. It actually says in the Chumash, predicting in advance, saying, "Hey, before Hashem destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah." So he's looking at the Jordan, and it was really rich, well-irrigated water and land. And this is before Hashem destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Like the Garden of Hashem, like the Garden of Eden, okay? Like the land of Egypt, coming towards Zoar. So he chose for himself to go to the plain of Jordan, basically, and he rested in Sodom. Now, what's going on? So basically, everyone knew back then, even before he went there, that Sodom was an evil place. Even hinting, even right here in the Torah, that this is before Hashem destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So, what's going on? He looks over and says, "Look, this is good land. This is good stuff. I can bring my cattle here, and I'm amongst all these people in Sodom, and I'm going to make a ton of money. I'm going to be really wealthy by doing this." Okay. So that was his plan, and he goes over to Sodom, and what happens? He goes over there, and he's living there, and then Sodom gets attacked, and Lot and his family and his supplies and everything he owns gets taken over, and he gets kidnapped and taken as a prisoner of war or a hostage. Okay, and then what happens? Abraham with his men and his army, whether it was just him and Eliezer or him and a group of men, okay, go out and they rescue Lot. They defeat the opposing army, rescue Lot and all of the people of Sodom, and they brought back all the people and all the supplies. So what happens? Now, you heard the old saying from the movies, of course, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. That works great in the movies, but that was not Abraham's theory. Abraham comes over, and the king of Sodom goes to Abraham, and he says, "Listen, you did such a great job. It's incredible. Thank you so much. I'll tell you what, you just give me the people, but all the possessions you take for yourself." Sounds like a pretty good deal, right? In a way, fair, too. He just saved the whole people and the kingdom. Sodom was going to be killed. Abraham said to the king, what does he say of Sodom? He says, "I lift up my hand to Hashem God, the Most High Maker of heaven and earth. Even if I take a thread of a shoelace, and if I take anything from you that is yours, I'm not going to take anything, so that you shall not one day come to me and say, 'It is I who made Abraham rich.'" Back then his name was Abram. So it was I who made Abram rich. So he doesn't take anything. He says, only what the young men consumed and the share of the men who went with me, those are the ones they could take their portion, and that's it. So what he did was he says, listen, I want nothing to do with you. You're my enemy, and I don't want any association. I don't want you to come to me later and say, I will need a favor from you. Okay, so that's the next thing taking place. Now, so you see here that Abiram wants no association with this bad guy, bad leader, bad guy, bad township, bad people. He wants to stay as far away from them as possible. Lot, on the other hand, wanted to get close to them. Why? He sees a money opportunity, just for the money. This happens in our lives all the time. We see business opportunities with questionable people of character. It looks like a good deal, it feels like a good deal, but you're hanging out with the wrong crowd. All right, so let's go a step further here. So as I mentioned before, so when these angels start coming into Sodom in the evening, the nighttime now, Lot was sitting at the gate. So we ask ourselves, what is Lot doing sitting at the gate? What's going on here? So according to Hazal, through the Midrash Rabbah, Lot was sitting at the gate of Sodom. So what happened was, normally when you go in, let's say you go into a new business, it doesn't matter what, it could be the insurance, accounting, an attorney. What do? You join the Rotary Club, you join the Federation, you join this club and that club, and you get really well known, and next thing you know, you're the president of a few of these places, and next thing you know, you're selling insurance, you're selling banking, whatever you're selling, people are buying from you because you're known as the big guy within that group. So Lot goes to Sodom. He doesn't just go to Sodom and hang out. He goes to Sodom, and there was 5 chief judges in Sodom. Okay, and Lot was the arch magistrate presiding over all of them. That was his position in the city, and it was, and that's why he was sitting at the gate to meet at the gate as a judge to see who comes inside and who doesn't come inside in the group. So he goes to Sodom, knowing it was bad, and then what he says is, you know what? I know they're bad guys, but it's not going to affect me. I'm just, a regular guy. I'm going to stick to my own thing, make my money, and get out, okay? So what happens is, I'll give you an example, okay? Let's say you live in a gang city, and you grow up in a gang because you have no choice. The first time you're hanging out with a gang, and one of the guys goes over to some old lady, hits her over the head with a lead pipe, steals her wallet, and she's lying on the ground, severely injured, bleeding, and this guy took a wallet that had $50 in it, okay? So you're watching this as a young kid in this gang. First time you see it, I'm sure you're in shock. Your probably stomach is nauseous if you don't vomit, and you're like, wow, you're really scared and racing and you don't know what's going on. The second time you watch it, you see the same thing happen. Okay, you still feel a little funny, but you're a lot less funny. You're more dull to the situation. Next time, it's your turn to do it. Again, you get a little sick. After you do it 2-3 times, this becomes normal. Hitting old ladies over the head and stealing their money, killing them, not killing them, it becomes a normal thing. Okay. So now this is the situation with Lot. Strangers come along. He's the big macher in the city. He's the head magistrate of the judges. They go into his house. The angry mob comes to rape the men. He says, rape my daughters instead. Do whatever you want with them. For him, he's become as distorted as all the people there. It wasn't abnormal to do something like that. And this is what happens. He's been, infected with the thought process of a completely inhumane, distorted, corrupt city. It says here from young to old. That's who showed up. Every single person in the city. They were all distorted. They were all bad people. They were all one big rough gang. So then, even after that, the angels, take care of the situation, get everyone out of danger. And then the angels reveal themselves and say, look, we're angels of God. We're going to destroy the city. You and your family we're going to save because of Abraham's merit. And we want you to go up into the mountains. And we're going to destroy this Sodom and Gomorrah. So what does he say? He then says, listen, it's too tough for me to go to the mountains. Let me go to this nearby city. It's small. They're newer. They're not as corrupt yet. The city happens to be called Zoar. And, you guys got it wrong. You're angels of God. And, look, maybe you made a mistake, whatever. Who knows? But you're telling me to go to the mountains, and I'm telling you I want to go somewhere else. What's going on here? Why is he discrediting these angels of God? Anyway, another continuation of a distorted process. He goes to Zohar. He watches Sodom and Gomorrah get destroyed, and then he fears that Zohar's next. So he and his two daughters, after his wife has died already, he goes up in the mountains. What's the next thing that happens? The two daughters, one night each, they give him some alcohol, get him drunk, and they sleep with him. And they get impregnated, an incestual relationship. What's going on here? Okay. Now, you read some commentaries and said, well, they all thought that the entire world was destroyed and they were just rebuilding the world. Makes no sense at all. They knew that Zohar was not destroyed on account of him. They knew that he was saved, and there was other cities, and also saved on account of Abraham. So, not accurate. What happens is, just like the father became distorted, the mother turned around when the angels told her not to, and she became a pillar of salt. She dies. She wasn't worthy. She must have been, as corrupt as the city people were in Sodom. And the two daughters, they're just, distorted. Oh, it's normal. Yeah, let's, whatever. There's no other guy around. Let's have some sex with our dad and have some kids with our dad. It's a lot easier than going back to Zohar or whatever else have you. Again, completely distorted and, questionable whether, supposedly it says Lot had not been aware, but other commentaries say he was fully aware. Okay, so you could see the difference in the two personalities. Abraham coming and saying, "Hey, I want to stay as far away from questionable people, bad people, people that don't do the right thing. I'm staying far away from them." Lot says, "Look, I'll go close if there's money there. If there's money, I'll take it, And, we could take this into a real life situation. And that is, in business times, that when you're dealing with business transactions with so many different types of people or business opportunities, what do? Well, we want to be honest. Of course you want to be honest. And, I'm assuming that everyone watching this, hopefully, God willing, is honest in business, what they're doing. But then you come in these questionable things where looks honest, feels honest, you're not doing anything wrong, but you're with some guys that, maybe you can make a lot of money on the deal, but you feel like something's a little fishy or a little bit wrong. So in my experience, each time I've gotten involved in any of those type of deals, always backfires. And Hashem has been with me to protect me in those situations. but it's like any effort that I put or any time or investment that I put into those deals, it always ends up getting lost and aggravation and wishing I had never gotten involved in these. Not to bring up anything specific, just to give you a quick story, a friend of mine was doing, years ago, he's a lawyer, and he was doing some title work. And he got involved in with these real estate guys that were doing very well financially. And all they were doing was the title work, and made a lot of money doing it. But they didn't look too close, but it looked like something was a little fishy about the type of real estate transactions they were doing. And but they were two partners, and they looked at each other and said, what are we, the title police? We're supposed to know and investigate what these guys are doing? All we're doing is the title work. So later down the road, they ended up, the title guys were doing, the real estate guys were doing something illegal. Everybody, even an inkling related to any transaction, was brought into the deal. The FBI got involved, and they had to spend they spent more than all the money that they made in legal fees just trying to protect themselves from getting in trouble than they made in all the time dealing with him, not to mention all the lost time and all the aggravation and all the fear. So, we're here for a reason, and our reason is not to do questionable things. It's to build, perfect our souls and perfect ourselves in honesty and business and integrity. And even though business sometimes can be honest, it could be honest to own web sex sites or pornographic sites or any of these things. Maybe there's nothing illegal with it, okay? But is that really the purpose that we're here? There's so many ways to make money. What we want to try and do is we want to do things that we don't want to have to be looking over our back or over our shoulders from years to come. And we want to improve the planet. We want to make the planet a better place, not a worse place. And for that, Hashem will bless you, whether in this world or in the world to come or in both. So that's our little quick lesson. There's much more in depth that could be taken out of this and go more. If you have any questions, please drop me a note. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.